and Keeper Rob, who is feeding them. So we're joined by Keeper Rob today, and he's going to be telling us all about African penguins and their conservation status and everything really you need to know about these guys and their life here at Paradise. So Rob, take it away.
Okay, so here at Paradise Wildlife Park we have 18 individual African penguins. Now African penguins you can find on the south coast of Africa all the way up to Namibia. But they're relatively small penguin in comparison to some of the others. And the largest penguin in the world is most commonly known as the emperor penguin, which you've probably seen on TV on David Attenborough shows before, and that stands about 1 metre tall and is found in Antarctica. The smallest penguin in the world is actually known as the little blue or the fairy, and that's actually found in Australia. Now a lot of people think that penguins do come from cold climates, and that's actually a little bit of a myth, as the majority of penguin species do come from warm climates. So as I said, these guys from Africa, the Humboldt penguins from South America, the little blues I've mentioned already is from Australia, and the most northern penguin in the world is called the Galapagos penguin, found on the equator itself, on the islands of Galapagos.
Amazing. Thank you everyone for joining so far. Just a quick couple of updates. So obviously we are with our African penguins, and you can adopt these guys. There's a couple of comments coming through. So yeah, you can adopt these guys. If you head to our online shop, you can adopt them all. So, and we also have our new online shop where you have amazing animal clothing inspired by our animals here at Paradise, and we have some awesome penguin jumpers, so please check them out as well. So Rob, we have a couple of questions so far.
Okay.
How are these guys doing within conservation, and how can we help?
Well, I'd like to say that we are doing our best for the penguins, which we are, but unfortunately these guys out in the wild are an endangered species. There's roughly around 18,000 breeding pairs left out in the wild. If you put that into perspective, Wembley Football Stadium holds around 90,000 people, which isn't many African penguins. And there's a few reasons for their decline, for example, oil spillages, litter in the ocean, and unfortunately these guys, their nests are raided for their eggs and something called guana as well. Now guana is basically a fancy word for penguin poo, but it also acts as a very, very good fertiliser. So unfortunately their nests are raided for that purpose. But it's not all bad news. There is lots of things that we are doing here at the zoo, what you can do at home, and also what Paradise are doing out in the wild to help as well. So for example, here at the zoo, these guys breed every single year. We've got a very good success rate of breeding our African penguins. Some of them is a bit more difficult to tell which ones are the young ones, but if you look towards the back, you may see some of them which have an all dark head rather than the white and black plumage on top. And they are chicks from the previous year. And these guys, they are monogamous, so they do pair up together and they do mate for life. So they do have at least perhaps 2 chicks perhaps every year or so, which is great, and sometimes more as well. Things you can do at home to help these guys, even small things like turning off the tap when you're brushing your teeth, doing things like turning off electricity or TVs when you're not using them, or even watching this live video when we are back open visiting the park really does help these guys. Now Paradise, we actually support an organisation out in the wild called SANCOB. Now SANCOB work with African penguins as well as other seabirds as well to protect them out in the wild and conserve them for future generations to come.
Amazing. So we have a couple more questions coming through. What's it like being a penguin keeper?
Being a penguin keeper is absolutely incredible. Waking up to see these guys every single morning, and a lot of people imagine that you do go home smelling and fish, which I've become a bit nose blind to that now. But working with these guys is fantastic, seeing the dynamics, and as I said, because they breed every single year, being able to be a part of that breeding program is absolutely fantastic as well. My favourite part of the day working with these guys is doing exactly what we're doing now, coming out, feeding these guys, and actually being able to spend a bit of time with them and observing them as well. It did take me a little while to actually understand each individual penguin, because they all look similar, but they actually do have their ever so slight differences. So if you look on their bellies, they have little black dots. Those black dots are similar to our fingerprints. They are unique to that penguin. And our easiest penguin to tell apart is probably just on the right there. It's the only penguin with 2 chin straps, and that is Temba. And all the other guys, they have slightly different patterns to help us and able to identify them. Now you might notice as well with these guys, they do have different coloured bands around their wings. Now those bands do play a very important part. So if you see two penguins with the same colour bands on, that means that they are an item, that they're in a pair. For example, Albert and Ikiki have yellow bands, and their offspring will also have yellow bands but with different coloured beads on, which tells us which generation of chick would come from which year.
Amazing. And a lot of keepers here actually say that the penguins here are kind of like Love Island, and that their relationships kind of go a bit out the door on occasion. Yes. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So I did say penguins are monogamous. 99% of the time they are. But every now and then we have had the odd road penguin that has gone and been a bit cheeky and had an affair with another lady, and then have had chicks on their own. But they do generally always go back to their first original partner, which I like to think is nice. But yes, it is a little bit like Love Island or an episode of EastEnders from time to time, which makes our job very, very interesting, having to monitor these guys and make sure we know who is paired up with who. Because of course, if we have road penguins, or should I say penguins having an affair, we need to know which chick that belongs to, or which parents they belong to.
Amazing. And who would you say the strongest couple within our penguin colony is?
I would say the strongest couple would probably be Tosca and Kanu. So Tosca is actually the one right at the front now. She's our smallest penguin, and Kanu is the one at the front to the left with the silver band on his left wing. Those two have bred very successfully over the past few years, and as far as I'm aware, but even before my time here, these guys have actually stayed together and been faithful to each other.
That's what we love to hear. So thank you everyone for tuning in so far. Obviously quite a few people enjoying the Love Island comparison there. But if you are enjoying it and you do want to take this further, then please head to our online shop and you can help adopt our penguins. It goes to all funds go to supporting the penguins here at Paradise, or we have a ton of other animals that you can help support on site, which also goes to our conservation work in the wild as well and around the world. And we also have some new online shop clothing out, which is inspired by our amazing animals, and you can actually get an awesome new penguin jumper on there, so also check that out. So Rob, so how is it managing penguin species like this from day to day? How many times have you got to feed them, check on them? When do they go into breeding?
So our day always starts with coming up here and just checking on the penguins, making sure they are all alive and well. Now, we feed these guys about 2 to 3 times a day, and we give these guys, of course, we give them fish. In particular, we give them sprats. Now, the sprats we give them, they are nutritional, or they are actually sustainably sourced, and they are the best nutritional value fish for our penguin. But naturally in the wild, these guys would eat sprats, anchovies, sardines, and a bit more of a variety of fish. So as I said, we do feed these guys about 3 times a day, and we come out and we clean the enclosure, scrub off all the poo off the rocks, check the nest box, but we don't necessarily clean the nest boxes every day because that is their home, and of course they build their nests out of their own feces called guana, so we like to leave them to it. Now these guys as well, because they aren't wild penguins, they are in a captive environment, we do actually give them some special supplements. So we give them a special pill, it's called sodium chloride. It's basically a salt pill that helps replenish those levels that they might lack in captivity. And also we give them something called aqua mini bits as well, which is to replace any sort of minerals that are lost in the defrosting process of the fish. Aside from that, we do monitor these guys all the time. We do have cameras around the enclosure. We can see who's cheating on who, shall we say, or we can see who's eating more or less. So it is really fun managing these guys here at the zoo.
Amazing. I think they're all fished out.
They seem to be.
Kind of giving up on the fish. They'll probably go for a swim soon. But that is actually the end of our live stream at Live at the Zoo. So thank you everyone that has tuned in today to watch our African penguins and enjoy the talk with Keeper Rob.
Thank you guys.
And it'll be really great if you could come and visit us guys once we are out of lockdown in this difficult period. So thank you everyone again. And if you would like to adopt these guys, head to our online shop or check out our new clothing. And hopefully we'll see you when we reopen. Take care everyone.